Undoubtedly, the undisputed queen of disco, the legendary Donna Summer single-handedly changed how we look at disco as a genre. She shaped it and took it to the global stage, making it the most popular genre in the late 60s through to the 70s. Her husky, sensual, soulful singing style, topped up with the power and clarity behind it, brought life to music. Any song she touched turned to gold. Love to Love You Baby, 1975. I Feel Love, 1977. Hot Stuff, Bad Girls, She Works Hard for the Money. It was hit after hit. In Josiah Howard's words, the author of Donna Summer, Her Life and Music, he describes Summer as a producer's singer because she used her voice like an instrument. She had the ability to sustain a note without the tricks of vibrato or melisma that are so often used by contemporary singers. To understand how special she was, it is said she was one of those phenomenal one-take artists. She could just come in, sing the song in one take, and go. She was always spot on. Summer was the first artist to have 3 consecutive double albums reach #1 on Billboard's album chart. She was the first black woman to be nominated for an MTV Video Music Award. Seen as a cultural icon, she also had a huge influence on pop artists such as Madonna and Beyoncé. On top of this, just like the likes of the smooth operator Barry White, her songs too worked the magic of making babies, the hit song Love to Love You Baby playing a huge role in this. Even after the quick death of disco's popularity, after the highly controversial disco Demolition night in 1979 at Comiskey Park in Chicago, Illinois, Donna Summer showed she was an all-weather, able to adapt with changes. She is the only disco artist who remained relevant after the wave of disco had passed. She was much bigger than just a mere queen of disco. But despite her being a global treasure, we still feel she is greatly underrated. Underrated in the sense that hardly anybody mentions her when speaking of the greatest female singers of all time. She was the most consistent and most successful artist during the disco era, breaking all the records. She is the only notable disco artist to continue releasing hits after the genre became less popular. Despite her making all these history-making accomplishments, her name is often left out when we mention the greatest female singers of all time. Is it because the disco era was short-lived? Is it because of the controversies that surrounded her later in her career? Is it because they say she allegedly betrayed her biggest fan base, the gay community? Or was she just a misunderstood soul often being taken out of context? Regardless, she needs to be mentioned more. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to Donna what belongs to Donna. Let's give her the flowers she deserves. But before we dwell deeper into this, let's first get to explore her untold journey to stardom in its raw form. A journey that will help us understand her better. A journey that will help clear all the grey areas and give answers to the vague assumptions surrounding her. Donna Adrienne Gaines was born on the New Year's Eve of 1948 in Boston, Massachusetts, the third of 7 children to Andrew and Mary Gaines. Her mother was a schoolteacher and her father a butcher, but had to double up with other jobs just to sustain the family. But as a responsible father, for the heavy hours he put in his hustles, he made up for them during the weekends, spending all his time with his kids. Growing up in the Boston neighborhood of Mission Hill, the family was one of the first colored families in the area. With this, there had to be rules. He viewed his big family as a blessing from God and had to raise them in God's likeness. Donna would later in life attribute her success and character to the strong religious and strict background enforced by her dad, as it really shaped her to the person she grew to be. With them always spending most of the time in their backyard, Donna, together with her 5 sisters, spent their time singing, which they would develop a liking to. Donna, in particular, developed a deeper interest to it, seeing herself as a younger Mahalia Jackson, who at the time was the talk of the town. Even though she didn't quite pronounce some of the words right, and at times omitting them whenever she was singing, her passion was unstoppable. Everyone in the family knew this. One Sunday, when she was around 10 years, something special happened, something that would change her life forever. Their church vocalist didn't attend church that day, and with no one to fill in, they gave a young, innocent and shy Donna Summer the chance to lead that day. Her mother had always boasted how Donna knew to sing to the other church members. The church members had listened to her in the past and knew her weakness in missing or pronouncing some of the words. So they agreed she be given the chance, with the expectations that she'd be the laugh of the town. Little did they know that Donna had been putting in the hours behind closed doors, practicing relentlessly. The moment she opened her mouth, the whole congregation became emotional. Her voice, her vocals were angelic. Everyone was moved. Her parents, who had been crossing fingers, making endless silent prayers, hoping their little girl pulled that one through just fine, were moved to tears. And those tears were deeper than that. You see, Donna, from a very young age, was the hyperactive kind of child, a child who, out of curiosity, would dive into things. For these, she had gotten herself into a couple of troubles that would change her character forever. At age 6, her dad was puttering around fixing things. A younger Donna accidentally cut a large gash on her right cheek on the kitchen chair her father was fixing. Although the injury was dealt with in time in hospital, it left a permanent mark on her face. That injury marked the start of her trauma. It completely destroyed her esteem. She felt ugly. To make it worse, her siblings prior to this had been calling her names like Peanut Head, Duck Lips, due to her funny look, and now adding salt to the injury was a permanent scar on her face. In school, she was being bullied and also subjected to the evil menace of racism. She even stopped to go to school for days, locking herself up to hide from the cruel world. And this is how she came to know of Mahalia Jackson and try to imitate her, developing a deeper liking to music, which she sought as solace. On top of this, at the age of 8, she drowned in a swimming pool and was saved by her siblings. These crushed her confidence completely. So you can imagine, when her mum pushed for her sing in church 2 years later to boost her self-esteem, a young Donna took this as a platform to redeem herself, which she didn't disappoint. Those tears by her parents were tears that she was no longer the laughing stock of the town. From then, it was evident she had a special gift. Her confidence doubled, and she knew that through singing, she was going to be a star. Moving to Boston's Jeremiah E. Burke High School, her popularity was enormous due to her performances in the school musicals. She was liked by everyone. And you know what happens when a young teenager, once an outcast, is now famous? That's right. The cheekiness creeps in. He or she begins to walk and talk like the other famous kids in school, who 9 out of 10 have the not-so-good behavior. Donna went an extra mile to show that she was like the rest of the cool guys, in a bid to fit in. Her parents would in most cases let it slide since they were happy she was, quote, fitting in. In fact, back at home, she was the only one in the family who got spared from the strict rules set by her parents. Her siblings even point out that she would easily get away with not doing the house chores, always armed with numerous convincing alibis to counter her mistakes. With the local fame also came with being invited to numerous parties, something that his religious parents were not comfortable with. In an exclusive interview, courtesy of the A&E biography in 1995, her dad pointed out that at one time he even went to the extent of accompanying her to one of the many parties she had been invited and waited for her outside the apartment the entire time. And as her parents were trying to play the cool parents card on her, what they didn't know was that every time they were spared the rod on Donna, it was slowly and slowly spoiling the child. She was slipping away right in front of their eyes, but they always turned a blind eye, convincing themselves and trusting that their small baby wouldn't betray the responsibility they had given her. On top of this, the fact that they always believed in supporting their kid's passion, they didn't want to play tough on her with worries it would limit her potential. This was very understandable and commendable for them, considering it was in the 60s, where most parents were no nonsense. But unknowing to them, their teenage daughter was abusing the special privileges given to her behind their back to preserve her cool personality to her friends. She would sneak at night, go to her boyfriend's place, and also go to the nightclubs in Boston. One day, while at her boyfriend's place, they heard a psychedelic rock band named Crow had toured Boston and were performing at the psychedelic supermarket. They rushed there, and to her surprise, one of the heads of the band asked her if she was there for an audition, and she innocently said yes. They didn't need much convincing from what they saw. She was a natural, and that's how she got into the band. She was the only female and black person in the group. She would draw inspiration from the legendary Janis Joplin, whose raw performances blew her mind and pushed her to continue putting in the work. In 1967, just weeks before graduation, Summer, together with her rock band, got the chance to move to New York, which she gladly agreed. Her parents, too, gave her the green light to go, as it was getting hotter for her in Boston. Summer, in her usual late-night adventures, had witnessed a robbery with violence on an old woman by boys who she knew. Even though she initially sought to silence, knowing very well snitches get stitches, when she later learnt that the old lady had passed on, her conscience got the better of her, and she decided to come forward and testify. And even though the culprits were sent top prison, the other gang members threatened her, which made her feel unsafe. So when she got this chance, she took it with both hands and never looked back. When they reached New York, it was at the height of the counterculture, which she really enjoyed, playing in the band at night, sleeping all day, and hanging out in public parks. The band got an offer to sign for RCA Records, but insisted they only wanted to sign Donna. This prompted the group to dissolve. She, however, got the chance to audition in the counterculture musical Hair and got the part, agreeing to take the role in the Munich production of the show in Germany, moving there in August 1968 after getting her parents' reluctant approval. Her main reason behind choosing Germany was due to the fact that her dad had been in the World War in Germany, and also because she had been through a lot in America. For a 19-year-old, life was really going so fast for her, but she wasn't noticing. She saw all these as opportunities to help her achieve her dream to be a star. Upon arriving in Germany, she eventually became fluent in German, singing various songs in the language, and also participated in the various musicals, such as Godspell and Showboat, trying to fine-tune who she really was and the direction she wanted to take. Within 3 years, she moved to Vienna, Austria, and joined the Vienna Volksoper, where she was a brief member. She briefly toured with an ensemble vocal group called Family Tree, the creation of producer Günther Yogi Lauck. Prior to this, she had released a couple of singles German versions of existing singles under the name Donna Gaines. Fast forward to 1973, she officially married Austrian actor Helmut Sommer and gave birth to their daughter Natalia Pia Melanie Mimi Sommer the same year. They would move to stay in Helmut's parents' house in Vienna, Austria. It is here that Donna Summer dived into a deep depression. She felt unprepared for motherhood. Her husband worked a lot, leaving her alone to care for their child. She didn't go out or sing anymore. In her memoir, she said she felt isolated. However, the marriage soon after didn't work out, as Donna had an affair with the artist Peter Mühldorfer, causing the couple to divorce in 1975. This really caused mental anguish and guilt for breaking up their family. Her new relationship with Peter Mühldorfer, however, was short-lived, as Peter was very abusive to her. While working as a model part-time and backing singer in Munich, she met the producers Pete Bellotte and Giorgio Moroder of Oasis label. She would record her first album, Lady of the Night, which had 2 songs, the title track and The Hostage, which became a hit and reached the top of the charts in France, but was removed from radio playlists in Germany because of the song's subject matter, a high-ranking politician that had coincidentally been kidnapped and held for ransom during that time. It is during this time that she began using Summer with a U instead of Summer after the label made an error on the record cover, and the name stuck. In 1975, the three, Summer, Pete and Giorgio co-wrote a song, Love to Love You Baby. And when she did a demo of the song, they liked her version better. Seeking an American release for the song, Giorgio sent it to Casablanca Records president Neil Bogart and his wife Joyce. Bogart played the song, which was originally a 4-minute version, at one of his extravagant industry parties, where the crowd loved it and insisted that it be played over and over each time it ended. Out of this, an idea was born, an idea that would spark a revolution in music. He immediately called Giorgio Moroder back in Germany and requested him to do a longer version of it, and also bought the rights to distribute the song in the United States. True to Bogart's guts, the extended version, which was 17 minutes long, became an instant hit when it was played in clubs, and just like that, Donna Summer became a sex goddess. The moans running through the song was the talk of the town. And while her voice was making airwaves in America, Donna had no idea what she was about to become. Neil Bogart immediately made arrangements with Giorgio to have Donna go back to the US to promote the song in an arranged 12-city tour. What Donna didn't know was what was awaiting her. To begin with, the moans sent a different message to the record label in America, who made assumptions she was some sort of adult model judging by the songs, and with this they were of the idea they shoot her nude-like photo for the cover. Secondly, her religious family. Her parents were in awe that she could even think of recording such an erotic song, and her mother even said that Summer had to explain to them in detail where she was, what she was doing, and who she was with at the time of the recording. They had a hard time accepting what their daughter was perceived by the public, but had no choice but come to terms with the reality. The song also generated controversy due to Summer's moans and groans, which emulated lovemaking, with the likes of BBC banning it, the church condemning the record label as it painted a bad picture to the young ones. Thirdly, her fan base was mostly members of the gay community, which sparked some controversy as they were not so popular back then. But nevertheless, the time for her star to shine had come, and no one was going to stop her. With Love to Love You Baby on everybody's lips, Casablanca Records quickly released the follow-up album, A Love Trilogy, which included the track, Try Me, I Know We Can Make It. In 1977, Donna Summer released the concept album, I Remember Yesterday, with the hit song, I Feel Love, reaching number 6 on the Hot 100 chart and number 1 in the UK. She received her first American Music Award nomination as Favorite Soul R&B Female Artist. The single achieved gold status, and the album went platinum in the US. Another concept album released the same year was Once Upon a Time, a double album that narrated a modern-day Cinderella story. This album also achieved gold status. In 1978, Summer appeared in the film Thank God It's Friday, which met with moderate success, featuring the hit Last Dance that reached number 3 on the Hot 100 chart. The soundtrack and single both achieved gold status and earned Summer her first Grammy Award for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. Her version of MacArthur Park became her first number 1 hit on the Hot 100 chart. In 1979, Summer won 3 American Music Awards in the disco category for Single, Album, and Female Artist, and she performed at the Music for UNICEF concert, which raised funds and awareness for children. She also started working on her next project, Bad Girls, with Giorgio Moroder and Pete Bellotte. In 1979, Summer had 5 major hits, including Hot Stuff and Bad Girls, and her album Bad Girls topped the US Top R&B Albums chart. Everything was going on too well in the world of disco till rock fans decided enough was enough. You see, disco music was great party music, and discos in the 70s were great places for singles to hook up on the weekends. However, when radio stations decided to betray their loyal listeners by switching from good rock music to 24 and 7 disco formats, it angered many music fans and inspired disco demolition in the process. People also felt disco was too mechanical, while others hated it for the associated scene, with its emphasis on personal appearance and style of dress, with the media heavily emphasizing its roots in gay culture, which at the time was facing heavy backlash. The anti-disco movement gained huge traction and momentum after the firing of disc jockey Steve Dahl from ABC-owned radio station WDOI on Christmas Eve 1978 as part of the station's switch from rock to disco. Steve would from then become the architect of the anti-disco movement, vowing to end it. He hit the final nail on disco's coffin on the night of July 12, 1979, at Comiskey Park in Chicago, Illinois, which would come to be known to as Disco Demolition Night. Over 50,000 people all brought disco records, which were blown up on the field between games of the Twilight doubleheader between the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers. The popularity of disco declined significantly after this, and even though many disco artists carried on, that chapter was done and dusted. Even the record companies began labeling their recordings as dance music just to stay in business. Despite the success she had achieved and her being on the top of the world, Donna Summer felt like she was living a double life. She felt that was not the reason she was ordained to sing by God. Things had really passed by hard quick, and she didn't quite find time to breathe and think. But her conscience never gave her peace. All through her highs, she said, was constantly on sedatives just to numb it. But little did she know this was but only a temporary measure. She really struggled so much with the balance between her faith and her passion for her art. You see, at age 8, she had prayed to God to help her sing better, and that's what God did when she reached 10. Her name and popularity was made in church through singing for the Lord. When she became famous in the hood, she forgot all about this and indulged in the world's doing in a bid to fit it, and liked. Sometimes God wants you to do what you want to do, just to find out it's not there after all. As a person who had self-esteem issues, we can't judge her too harshly, as many of us have been in that spot too as kids. What she failed to do was set strong boundaries. Her gift was never in doubt. She was always a chosen one. For those deep into the scriptures, you would agree with me that this was a battle between God and Satan. And while it is no doubt God is the one who gives you the gift, he also gives you the free will to choose what you want to do with it. But for Satan, he always exploits your weaknesses by enticing you with the things he knows you lack, the things you yearn for. Isn't he the one who tempted Jesus when he told him he'd give him the whole world if he knelt down and worshipped him? Donna's choice of path in music was the beginning of her not-so-pleasant encounter as she tried to run away from her true self. Her moving to New York and later to Germany in just a short period was no coincidence. They say when the devil wants to attack you, he first isolates you. Donna was taken away from her dad's arms, who always watched over her and kept her in check. And when she came back from Germany, it was too late for her parents to stop her. Her name was already huge. That's why the music in some way was the first to arrive in the US, and Donna coming later to market it. On top of this, she says the fruits her music was bearing was in no way godlike. The moans brought about pervasion. Her fan base didn't sit well with her. She felt as if she was encouraging people to sin, something that was completely opposite to her beliefs. But just as the prodigal son, God never gave up on her. For her body, mind, and soul to be in sync with each other, she had to come back home. You'll run and run, but you'll never run away from yourself. She gave herself to Christ in around 1980, thanks to the persuasion of her younger sister, after years of depression and anxiety, topped up with over 2 years on sedatives. From then, she says, she felt like a load was taken off her shoulders and felt free from the guilt and shame. Summer would marry Brooklyn Dreams singer Bruce Sudano on July 16, 1980, with whom would have 2 daughters together, Brooklyn Sudano and Amanda Sudano. Summer was also one of the founding members of Oasis Church in Los Angeles. Her direction in music also changed, releasing hits such as She Works Hard for the Money and also working with the likes of the legendary Quincy Jones. She even started performing using cleaner versions of her music. Everything was going good and back to normal, but little did she know what was in store for her. The devil wasn't going down without a fight. In the mid-1980s, Summer was embroiled in a controversy when she allegedly made anti-gay remarks regarding the relatively new disease AIDS. It painted her negatively as gay community was her major fan base. She, however, responded by saying she was misquoted and begged for forgiveness to all those who felt offended. During the 1990s, Donna Summer's career saw various phases, including music releases, acting roles, and live performances. In 1990, a compilation album titled The Best of Donna Summer was released, which achieved gold status in the UK, thanks to the re-release of State of Independence. The following year, she collaborated with producer Keith Diamond on the album Mistaken Identity, which incorporated elements of R&B and New Jack Swing. The single When Love Cries was successful on the R&B charts, reaching number 18, but the album had limited commercial success. Summer embarked on a world tour in 1992 and received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She also reunited with Giorgio Moroder for the song Carry On, included in the Donna Summer anthology, released in 1993. In 1994, she signed with Mercury Polygram and recorded a Christmas album titled Christmas Spirit, featuring classic Christmas songs and Summer's original tracks. Another hits collection, Endless Summer, Donna Summer's Greatest Hits, included new tracks. In 1995, her song Melody of Love, Wanna Be Loved, reached number 1 on the US dance charts. Summer continued her musical collaborations in 1996, recording a duet with Bruce Roberts for the film Daylight and Does He Love You with Liza Minnelli, featured in Minnelli's album Gently. She also ventured into acting, making appearances on the sitcom Family Matters. In 1998, Summer received her first Grammy Award for Best Dance Recording for the remixed version of her 1992 collaboration with Giorgio Moroder, Carry On. In 1999, she recorded a live television special for VH1, Donna Summer Live and More Encore, which achieved high ratings for the network. The associated CD featured 2 studio recordings, I Will Go With You and Love Is the Healer, both reaching number 1 on the US dance charts. In the 2000s, Summer continued to contribute to music and television. She participated in VH1's Divas special in 2000 and sang The Power of One, the theme song for the movie Pokémon, the movie 2000. In 2003, her autobiography Ordinary Girl: The Journey was released, along with a best of collection. Summer was inducted into the Dance Music Hall of Fame in 2004. She released the studio album Crayons in 2008, marking her return to original material after 17 years. The album performed well and spawned several number 1 dance chart hits. In 2009, Summer appeared at the Nobel Peace Prize concert for Barack Obama. Sadly, 3 years later, on May 17, 2012, aged 63, Summer died at her home in Naples, Florida, from lung cancer. Being a non-smoker, Summer theorized that her cancer had been caused by inhaling toxic fumes and dust from the September 11th attacks in New York City. She was in her apartment near Ground Zero when the attacks occurred. However, some reports have instead attributed the cancer to Summer's smoking during her younger years, her continued exposure to secondhand smoking while performing in clubs well after she had quit, and a predisposition to this disease in the family. Summer's funeral service was held in Christ Presbyterian Church in Nashville, Tennessee, on the afternoon of May 23, 2012. She was interred in the Harpeth Hills Memory Gardens Cemetery in Nashville, a girl from Boston with a voice from heaven, shooting through the stars from gospel choir to dance floor diva. Her authenticity as a performer made her iconic. Her sound transformed music, and her freedom of expression has inspired female artists from the bottom up. Donna Summer risked it all to break through barriers, becoming the icon of an era and the inspiration for every music diva who followed. She may have gone, and a lot may be said about her, but one thing for sure is her name will forever be embraced and never erased. What's your favorite music from her catalogue?